So it should just be preparing. All right. I think we are live. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, this is my second, what I call Meta Monday, and I'm really excited to bring these and bring people who are doing really cool things in entrepreneurship, business, in the community, what have you. And I have with me today Tish Gantz, and she's just an incredible human. Lots of fun things about her. Big racer, I do know that. Loves her cars, and she has a company called Apex by Design. And I don't know if any of you have heard about UX. So that's been thrown around a lot of times. You know, we throw acronyms and all that type of stuff. What exactly is UX, and what do you do at Apex by Design?
So UX is user experience, and it primarily applies to digital spaces. So when we're talking about users, we're mostly talking about people who are using software, people who are using websites, people who are using apps. And though I really hate the term user because it makes it sound all like flat. So I like to talk about, who's your customer? Who are the people who are going to be going in and doing this stuff? And the other thing to keep in mind is that your user experience isn't just online, right? Like that's a lot of times where it starts. That's a lot of times where people bounce back and forth. They're checking reviews, they're looking for stuff, but life still happens here in the real world until the bots completely replace us and Sarah Connor has failed and things like that, right? So for now, things happen in both digital and in the virtual world. So the user experience design that I do actually falls even more into what's considered brand experience design. So it is merging both of those two things together so that the entire experience of the brand, whether it's online or offline, is consistent, it's memorable, it's something that people refer. Because who of us doesn't want like 90% of our work to come in through referral, right?
Right.
It's like easier to work. The people who come in are already nice and warmed up. They're already interested in working with you. I think the numbers still hold that like 85% of the time, if a friend refers somebody, that person is going to buy. Like they're not even going to shop anywhere else, right? So all those things come together by creating not just the perfect website or the perfect tagline or the perfect logo or the perfect marketing thing. It's the whole experience, how you answer the phone to how it is, being realtors, you show a house. How easy do you make it for your customers? Difficult, things like that.
Right. Yeah, that's really important too. I mean, there's a lot of times where you feel this need to be like on social media. We have to have the websites or all these type of things, right? We have to have all the things, and we have to do it all the time. And we, and it can be a little disconcerting or overwhelming. And I know, having worked with you through some projects for myself, is really thinking about that the client, because oftentimes in our conversations we've had, or in others, is websites or what we build is oftentimes around what we want to see and pretty and all that kind of stuff. And I know, because like for me, being in the mortgage industry and everything, we have a lot of people that may be watching. Realtors could be maybe another mortgage broker, or maybe it's just customers that have their own business. However, how to differentiate yourself and coming back to that customer piece is key. So what are some of the things that I know you've worked with realtors in the past, and are currently working with them. What do you find are the common like traps that they get caught in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically it's look at how great I am. And, to be a realtor, you have to have a lot of self-confidence. You have to have that go-getter stuff. However, if you're doing nothing but that outward, it's kind of like being, the prom queen or the track guy who's always like, look at me, I'm so great. Don't you want to go out with me because I'm so great? And of course you don't, right? It might all be true, but you don't. So Instead, you want to look at what is the softer things. And I say that and everybody's like, soft skills, but it's in the emotion, it's in the experience that people remember things and people decide whether or not they're going to refer. It's not in the hard stuff. The hard stuff is what I like to refer to as the low hanging fruit. So if you're talking about, I close more houses faster and I do this or that, that's the low hanging fruit, right? So it's more important for you to talk to, first of all, your past clients and understand what were really the valuable bits that they saw about the experience. So that might be, hey, you know what? You weren't calling us at 9 o'clock at night to ask us for stuff because you were too busy during the day to get it done. And now we're in this big rush and blah, blah, blah. And my buddy, they had that happen and it sucked. Or, my previous realtor, yeah, they listed our house and they took the pictures and they did all this marketing, but they just were incommunicado. And I felt like the entire time that they weren't listening to me, or they weren't actually like letting me know what was going on in the process or what was going to come next if I'm a new home buyer, right? Maybe it's that the kind of houses, not the neighborhood. Everybody's like, I know that neighborhood. Okay, don't care. What do you know about my house? Like, why is my house special? And so I have worked with realtors who are specific in architectural style, specific in dates of manufacturers, specific in who manufactured it. That's not necessarily a neighborhood, but that just they know where all the Chosinau's are. They know where all this is or that is. And that's the kind of house you want, right? So I've also worked with realtors who had worked in construction. And so they were hey, if you're a first-time buyer and you don't know a lot about what to look for in buying a house that, yeah, is on the cheaper side, needs some work, but is it okay? That's the realtor you want, right? So making sure that you understand the journey that your people are on and knowing who are truly your ideal customers. It's not everybody who wants to buy a house. It's not everybody who wants to sell a house. It's not people who have crap tons of money and giant houses that you want to sell, right? It's what are their specific needs that you cater to in a way that no one else does. Talk about that. And it sounds like you're getting down into a gnat's butt, right? And it's like, well, nobody's going to hear me. It's truly the opposite. When you're saying those things, especially if you're using the same verbiage, the same phrases that your customers have used in telling you the things that were valuable to them, other people's ears are going to go, oh, I heard that. Nobody else has said that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I need that. And all of a sudden they start coming out of the woodwork, or people know how to refer you. Instead of it being, oh, you need a realtor, I know 5, it's, oh, you're getting divorced and you need a realtor. I know someone that knows how to navigate that and make sure that everybody gets the fair share and it gets divided up right and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Whole different conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's just like anything, the more you focus on it and the more you spend that time with it, if it's an industry and niche, yeah, you're bound to get other business and other referrals, or, maybe different customers that are coming in out of other, segments. However, when you get really clear too, you can speak really confidently and that message does come across. And like you said, you really actually hear that, which is critical. And
it is.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and a lot of times, I don't know about you. I mean, I think that, a lot of times we feel like we know what we do really well. And then when you hear your clients, that those may be things that they think you did well. However, there may be something that really impacted them way
That's
more.
correct.
And
Way more.
yeah.
And yeah, so, I write up my contracts so that they're, airtight is great. That's important. But again, it's like that low hanging fruit. Like there's certain things that your clients are just going to expect come with the thing. And if you're just touting, I do the basic thing that should be expected, that's not really a good way to be able to differentiate yourself.
Right.
Now, in talking about yourself, talking about your ideal customers. And then of course that leads into, like you were saying, Paul, content generation. Oh, I should put it on the socials. I should put it on this and that. And I don't want to talk about the tools right now because that's a big, deep, dark hole we don't want to talk about.
Right.
What I do want to talk about is differentiation again between how you're thinking about what you're putting out there. So I read a great article. I'm not going to take credit for this, but it's a concept I hadn't put into words, and I saw it put into words, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly right. We hear all the time, we need to create content. We've got to put content on the internet. We have to put content on the social media. We have to have videos or whatever. I want you to stop thinking about it as content. Think about, how can I share my knowledge? Where is this piece of knowledge best placed? Like, instead of saying, oh, I make the best martinis ever, and I'm just going to put martinis in my coffee mug, not the
which
best
I wouldn't
vessel,
mind.
right? I wouldn't mind either.
Well, it depends on where you're at.
Right? Yeah, right. But the better vessel for that might be a martini glass or a highball or something of that nature, right? So in thinking about, oh, I have to create content, don't think about that. Think about, what knowledge do I have to share? What haven't I shared in a while? Where would be the best place for me to share this? Is this something that maybe is going to spark a discussion? The Books of Face or Instagram might be the place for that. Is it, wow, this is kind of more an in-depth topic, maybe it's not as much discussion, I just want to share all the stuff? That could be YouTube, that could be an article, that could be a blog posting. Maybe it's, well, I have multiple things and I actually have so much to talk about, I can't put it in one bowl. Great. Now you have what I like to refer to as a buffalo. So you slay that buffalo and then you use all the parts, right? So you put a video here and this there, but everything draws back to that main buffalo topic. And now you're sharing your knowledge, and it's less like, oh my God, I have to create content for my social media. What am I going to do? It's like, oh yeah, I'm already talking about this neighborhood's blowing up and why, and or they're doing all these things wrong with renovations and here's what not to do, or things like that. Stuff that you've seen that you actually can comment on, that's your personal thing, instead of, I'm going to post more stats from my canned spam of crap that comes from my brokerage or whatever. Right. And then you're going to have more relevance to your people. You're going to resonate better with them, and you're going to stand out and be radiant, because they're going to be like, oh, wow, they're not talking about the same thing that I can get from 5 other realtors. They're telling me great stuff that I was already thinking about, because I mean, yeah, you're an expert in being a realtor, right? You know what they need or don't need, or what they should or shouldn't do in your specific thing you like to do. So focus on that.
Right. Well, it's our natural talent. I heard somebody, this woman that was interviewed, and she said she went through this course, and they were talking about how you decide how much to charge for a service. Mm-hmm. And so they had to list out all of their services, and the lowest charged, the lowest price point on all 17 of the individuals going through this course, the facilitator asked, why is this like your lowest price point? And they're like, well, because I can do that like without even thinking about it. Like, that's just like, I can do that in my sleep. It's come so easy to me. And she was like, that's what you actually need to charge the most for, because that's your magic.
That's the magic. That's what people are looking for. That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. That is exactly right.
Yeah. So it's finding that. And I think we're kind of talking about realtors. However, if you're a small business owner, if you're in a corporation or any of those, it applies, across the board. I know we've talked, it's even, goes back to like, what's the intro email to the exit interview, to the, what happens 2 and 3 months after, those pieces. How do you want them to feel, and what's important, through that experience? It's, are we putting bottles of like ketchup and mustard on their doorstep, for it's July 4th and following up, or is there something more meaningful? There's all kinds of like crazy, this is easy, I'm going to buy this and do it this way, as opposed to maybe what clients are really talking about or really connecting.
Yep.
Yeah. So you really made UX more understandable. And I think a lot of us, if we're consumers, we understand. I mean, all of us have had those experiences where you're just like, this is really easy, and it either comes to a return, or you're having a problem in solving it, or whatever it is with that product, and then it goes crap, and you're like, it just ruins everything, even though maybe the initial experience was so great, or that product is really good, and that whole experience though is not looked at. It's we did these couple steps, and then it goes to shit.
Yeah. it's like, I'm sure you all can think of an example where maybe you went out for a really nice dinner and the whole dinner was great. The servers were great. Everything was great. The wine was incredible. All the things were good. And then you get your bill, and for some reason, there's an extra charge on it. And you're like, oh, hey, there's this extra charge. And then they want to argue with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what the hell? And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it turns it, and you're like, wait, you just were sucking up the whole time. That whole experience prior
Right.
just gets flushed down the toilet over a $5 charge, maybe a $10 charge, right? On like a
Right.
$100 meal. And you're like, what are you doing? And, I see this a lot with restaurants. They don't get it, but it's very easy to do the same thing on a much smaller scale in our businesses because we're not thinking through the whole, we're only thinking about ourselves. And
Mhm.
yes, we do have to think about, we can't just willy-nilly be giving away stuff and throwing things out there and doing things. But what we have to look at is what has value, and where is the value on the scale to me or to them. If it's really valuable to them and only a little bit valuable to me, you probably should give it to them.
Mhm.
If it's valuable to both of you, then it probably should have been handled differently,
Right.
like from the get-go, right?
Right.
Then there's other things to look at, right? If it's low value to them and medium value to you, and you're like, look at this stuff, then you're just going to be frustrated because you're like, look at this stuff I'm giving you. Like, yeah, I don't care. So you're wasting your time and your money at that point.
Mhm.
So that's where I see a lot of people go wrong with social media and the content and the stuff they're putting out there. Is they're like, oh, this has high value to me because I think all this stuff's great. And your people just don't care. So you're spending all this time and effort. And then you're like, oh, why am I not getting an ROI on this? And it's like, well, of course, your people don't want
Yeah.
that. So,
It's not
and
what
the
they're
only
looking for.
way around that is to talk to them.
Right.
Please talk to them. Don't do
Yeah.
surveys. Don't do questionnaires. Get on the stinking phone or on a call or take them out for coffee or martinis.
Right.
On martinis today, but take them out for something and really spend the time, like truly be interested and invested in your clients, because that always shows through. Even
Mhm.
if you get it wrong, if you're truly invested, they see you're trying and you're making that effort, and they're more willing to forgive when something does go a little wonky, because it always will. But
Yeah.
they see that because you have done your homework. You've taken the time to say, okay, I understand that the key to me having a business is customers. So I need to focus on that.
Right. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Well, I really appreciate you, coming on and walking through, some of those basic steps and some of the do's and or more importantly, some of the don'ts, and then some of the critical do's. And that really comes down to asking the client, talking to your customers. If somebody is watching this or is interested, how can they contact you? What's the best way if they want to maybe have a consultation or connect with you to
Oh,
help them?
sure. No, I always love to talk to everybody, and we can either drink over tea or martinis, and it's all good. So my website is Apexed by Design. That's APEXD by design.com. You can always call me on the digits. That number is 720-215-5315. Or you can shoot me the emails, and that's tish@apexedbydesign.com. So, and I'm sure Paul will put all the stuff in the somewhere.
I'll go put them in the comments. Yeah. I will get that all loaded into the comments. Anyways, Tish, I really appreciate you coming on with us today. And I hope the rest of you, if you were listening, you're having a great Monday and enjoying the summer. We'll
Always
talk
a
to you all.
pleasure, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys later.